What's up, all of my movie fanatics out there? Welcome back. I'm the Jay Sloan, and I'm back here to do another video for you guys today. Today's date is March 29th, 2020, and recently on the channel I've been doing a lot of gameplay walkthroughs. We did The Last of Us, really fun walkthrough, favorite game of all time, had a blast with that. Just finished up Outlast over the weekend, really fun, a lot of good jump scares and more horror-centric, and recently started A Way Out with Chris Brock today, which will be the only non-horror game that we do on the channel. And I've just been doing some gameplay videos to pass some time and to add some content to the channel, mainly keeping it horror-oriented. And with the gameplay videos, I've done one thing that I didn't think that I would do, and that was stray too far away from talking about movies, which is my main passion. So for that reason, we're going to be talking about a movie today. And not only are we going to be talking about this movie, we're going to be doing a movie madness on this movie because there's so much that I want to say, so many feelings and thoughts that I want to express about this movie. I have a lot of history with it. It's my favorite film of all time. And if you can't tell what it is by the shirt, beautiful design from Fright Rags that I have had for multiple years, it is The Crow.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
You're all going to die.
Is that gasoline I smell?
Victims, aren't we all?
So, there's so much to talk about, so much to discuss, so many clips to be seen with The Crow, but I'm not going to be doing this by myself. I'm actually going to be joined shortly by my good friend and brother, Jeremy Burchett. Everyone knows him from the Walking Dead fan series as Nick. We're going to be taking a closer look at the film together, analyzing it, talking about it, why we love it. I'm assuming he loves it. I know I love it, and yeah, favorite film of all time. So, without further ado, let's go see what Jeremy's doing. So we are moments away from starting The Crow, and as I said, let's see what Jeremy's doing. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello there.
This is one of the first movie madnesses you've been on in a little bit. We did, you were on the John Carpenter week, which I think was the last one that I did. You were a part of that for one movie when we watched The Thing, and then you were in the intro to the Christmas, Joe Bob's Christmas special, and you didn't get to make it through that one.
Yeah, my internet sucked that night. I was so mad.
But you know, all that aside, it's good to have you here for this movie madness, because this is a movie madness that's been coming for a long time. I actually had filmed one of these years ago when I was intoxicated heavily, and didn't get to publish that video because I didn't even edit it and put it together. In that video, I watched a couple of its sequels because I own the first two sequels. I don't own the one with Edward Furlong, but that's a shame. I can't wait to get that on
Yeah, man, you're missing
4K.
out.
But yeah, The Crow for me, all-time favorite film. What do you think about the movie? We've talked about it a lot over the years, but what do you think about The Crow?
I think a lot about The Crow, man. It's, you know, I can't really say it's my favorite movie of all time like you, but when we watched it together that one time, I think it's the first time I actually ever seen it. I just appreciated it from its score, from its setting, how darkly beautiful the makeup was. It's a masterpiece in its own right, and it's one of those pieces of cinema that they don't really need to touch and try to recreate, because we was talking about this the other night. It would be impossible to recreate the Crow, like that story. You know, do your own story, do your own thing, kind of like the sequels, but don't try to touch this one. You know, it just, you would fail miserably.
I totally agree. That is something we talked about the other night, and it's such a beautifully bleak movie, but I love the revenge aspects of it, and Brandon Lee's performance, obviously, as well as supporting actors and everything in this movie, everything about the story, and it really, I don't know, it really struck me when I was a kid, visually, and then more as an adult when I started to grow up, and you realize this movie's kind of about pain and loss, and kind of about coping with certain things that you don't know if you can necessarily cope with, and revenge, and it's just everything wrapped up into beautiful acting, and an unfortunate death with Brandon Lee, which we'll talk about further into the movie madness. I mean, this kid could have, I say kid because he was really young when he passed away, but this guy could have been a star, you know what I mean? And his acting chops were just really, really spectacular. And I think that had he lived and had he survived, then he would have done great things to come. But
I completely agree.
But he left us with The Crow, and that's what we're going to dive into now. Stay tuned, guys, for more clips. This is going to be the only movie within this movie madness, so we're going to show plenty of clips. Usually we just have 1 to 2 clips per movie, but we're not doing multiple movies, because this deserves a movie madness on its own without anything in its way. So here we go, and we're going to click play, and we'll see you guys back here in just a little bit. So we're getting thrown into this story, basically, and that's what I love about it. When the camera pans over, you see the burning buildings on the Devil's Night, day before Halloween. Get introduced to old Ernie Hudson here, and Shelley Webster, which we're about to see. And there is the magical crow. Stellar cast in this movie too, and I like all the villains we'll see soon. 10-10, Top Dollar, Skank, every one of them. There's one I'm forgetting right now. I can't think of his name to save my life. I'll know it when I see it, but it's missing me, or I'm missing it. Anyway. Camera's on you now, Jeremy.
Hello, camera.
Going through this brutal story. Fun fact, where we do the fan series, which you know this, I had a script prep for a Crow fan film. Wasn't anything sequel, wasn't anything like that. Didn't copy anything about Eric Draven or any of the situation. But I really wanted to do that because I just have such a love for this movie that I wanted to contribute in just a fan film, just a short fan film.
I still think it'd be fun to do.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of potential with this story. The only problem is every one of the sequels, it tried to capitalize on what made this movie memorable, and that's why each one of the sequels to me failed. The first one, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as 3 was just made for TV, and it was just, the more I've seen part 3, the worse it looks. It's got Kirsten Dunst in it. It just looks worse and worse over the years, and then 4 is just god awful. But they tried to recreate the story over and over and over again, and you can't do that. It's a failure. I mean, it's going to be a disaster before it begins. So I wanted to do a new take on it and still keep some of the same qualities that I loved about this movie, and that this movie really inspired me in some of the ways that it was shot. And some of the shots that I've tried to use and incorporate into the fan series when it's my time to direct, and run the camera, and I don't know. I just like the way it's captured overall. I'm trying to do this close up on your face, but there. But we're introduced to Sarah right now, and we're gonna shut the camera off for a little bit and dive further into the movie, and we'll see some more clips. And yeah, I have a feeling we're about to see Eric soon.
No, man, he's going for good, bro. What are you talking about?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm usually not a winning man, but if I had $1 million, I'd bet.
I'll take you up on that, bro, because I think this is going to go up differently than every time we've watched it before.
I'll bet with you. Just let me check my many foreign bank accounts. Alrighty, guys, 4-minute clip. We'll see you back here in a little bit. We're going to just dive into... apparently we're diving into a hot dog right now. Ernie Hudson's putting a little mustard and ketchup on. I had hot dogs for dinner, actually, so... fitting, I guess. Okay, so this is one of my favorite scenes out of the film, the fun boy scene. Oddly enough, Michael Massey, who plays Fun Boy, was the one who accidentally shot. Oh, here we go. I love this. He was the one who accidentally shot Brandon Lee with the gun, the pistol that was unchecked. Early on, actually, the forced entry scene and the rape scene with Shelley and that whole thing, the flashback, that was where Brandon Lee died. In that, and it's crazy. That happened tragic, but just this scene alone, he gives one of my favorite performances. I love how he acts like this. So we're nearing the conclusion of The Crow. I love this action scene that's about to happen. We have one, well, technically two, but to Eric's knowledge, we only have one villain left, and that's Skank. Pretty fun character. Just took out T-Bird, and Funboy was first, or no, Funboy was second, and then Tin Tin was first. Love all the villains. They are very unique in each of their own ways, and all of them deserve to die, so happy to see them go. And I really like Michael Wincott here playing Top Dollar. He plays a really, really, really evil villain. I mean, he's kind of like a head. He orchestrates everything, which I guess, Eric finds that out, maybe. But him and his little incestual relationship with the sister is kind of freaky, kind of fruity. I don't know where to go, but he's funny too. He cracks me up with some of his lines, like the Skank line he said recently when he was like, "Maybe we should just record him and play it back in slow motion."
Yeah.
Fire it up! You ghost gonna kill my ass next. Skank's awesome. Well, everybody. I mean, you got Tony Todd there in the back. Everybody, supporting actors, actresses, everybody does a great job within this movie. It's just so bleak, and it has the best. I love this part. Hold on, let's see. A little worm on a big fucking FB. Yeah. The best gothic feeling there ever is, or ever has been, in my opinion, in a movie, and it's just amazing. This may be the last clip. We may have one more, not sure yet, but we can see Eric Draven appearing on the scene here, and he's about to fuck shit up, I think. So, I'm gonna cut it here, and see you guys back in a little bit. So we've just finished The Crow, and Jeremy, you said this was possibly your second or third time watching The Crow, right?
Right.
So after this,
I started it once with Dad, and we didn't get to finish it.
after this viewing, have your thoughts and opinions changed? So you like the movie more or less? What do you think after this viewing of The Crow?
It's still The Crow. It's something, man. I enjoyed it as much as I did the first time around. It's one of those movies that it's kind of timeless. You can always watch it like whenever. It's, I don't know, man. It's like I said earlier, it's a masterpiece.
I totally agree, man. I mean, I've got a lot that I'm gonna say in the end of the video when I do my review, but I don't know. This is probably I've seen this movie probably more times than I've seen any other film. That includes like Halloween, which is up there in my top, probably my second favorite film of all time. I don't know. So much I can just see and feel and relate to in terms of loss of love and a fight for revenge that anybody would have, and I don't know. It's just like I said in the opening, and like we talked about throughout the movie. It's just beautifully bleak in all of the right ways that make you just depressed enough to care and not depressed too much that you want to shut the TV off. So it's,
Right.
yeah, and the action keeps you right there too, and there's comedy in it too, and there's horror elements. It's a bag of all genres mixed together, really.
I thought he was going to say it was a bag of emotion.
Yeah, well, that is a better way to represent the movie. Bag of emotion. Yeah, that's The Crow. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. And everyone involved with the film who's passed, since passed. And yeah, masterpiece. Like you said, it's timeless. I feel like this movie will be one of the beacons, I guess, of films that are shown years and years from now.
Right.
In 50 years from now, people will still be talking about The Crow. Probably not its sequels as much, but they'll be talking about The Crow for sure. So, yep.
Oh yeah.
So Jeremy, it was good to have you a part of this movie madness video. Definitely like to have you a part of more of them to come. And
That'd be cool.
any final thoughts on The Crow as I zoom in on your face?
I really want to like find a video and see like how much like which scenes was and wasn't Brandon Lee, because it all, especially for how early on like CGI was and everything with this film, like it's pretty seamless.
It is. I think that's a testament to the movie as well, that you don't have to you don't see it. It's not taking you out of it because you really can't tell when it's him and when it's not him. And I know that they put his face digitally on another actor for the scenes that he was not able to be present in. And I can't tell. I've spent years trying to look and see what's him, what's not him. There's a few scenes I know for a fact because I've done research that are not him. Like the lightning effect where it reflects off his face in the glass. That's not him. But there's a lot of parts that I don't know. It's just like I have no clue if it's him or not. I know what scene he died in. Like I mentioned earlier, he died in the flashback stuff where he was remembering. It was the dude that played Funboy had the gun, and they were supposed to do tests on it, and I guess they did, but it was wasn't a live round, but it was a cartridge. I can't think of word for word how it went down, but anyway, a round did come out of the gun that wasn't a blank, and it hit him in the chest, and it pierced through, and I think it got lodged. He survived for, I don't think he died instantly, but he did eventually pass away due to the shot. And the dude that played the guy that...
He retired, didn't he?
Yeah, he retired after that. But it wasn't his fault. But he suffered a lot of problems.
Had to take such a toll on him.
Yeah, he suffered a lot of problems after that because of what went down. So it's a very dark movie, and like I said early on in it, there was from what I heard, some horror stories of the production and the set. Things were pushed really, really hard, and there was no real safety precaution on the set from what I remember hearing. So an accident or a death or something bad like that was bound to happen to hear certain people talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Ellie?
Yeah, it's Ellie.
Ellie's on camera. Jeremy's puppy, Ellie. Ellie, like on The Last of Us.
Yeah, you're the reason she has this name, Jordan.
I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that fact. We are, this video is going 7 minutes, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and cut it here, guys. Again, thanks, Jeremy, for joining the Crow Movie Madness, and stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be giving my full review over the film in seconds, so see you later, Jeremy.
Bye.
I've spent several years trying to pinpoint the sole reason I love the film The Crow, but as each year passes, much like each viewing, I grow older, as does the film. The film grows like a fine wine or an aged whiskey. With each sip, I notice a difference and come to appreciate more about it that I adore. One thing that goes without saying is the powerfully chilling final in what would have been a career-defining performance by the late great Brandon Lee. The man takes the smallest of lines that would be glossed over by other actors and makes them shine in a film that glorifies the dark. You feel for Eric Draven. You care about Eric Draven as you want him to succeed in the dirty deeds he must carry out. And at some point in time in each of our lives, we are all Eric Draven. The supporting actors are a thing of beauty, as we see the flip side of Eric's determination with the character of Sergeant Albright, played with the sense of experience by Ernie Hudson. We see the painful motivation in Eric, which is represented beautifully in Shelley Webster. We view the love and worth in Sarah, played with the rusty innocence by Rochelle Davis. And lastly, we see the crude and harsh nature of the animalistic ghosts and Top Dollar's posse. T-Bird, Tintin, Funboy, and Skank are all ploys with unique quirks and qualities that make them lovable to hate and give us a unit to root against. And the chaotic world that surrounds the film is eerily bleak in the way it is both shot and portrayed, not only as a backdrop for each soul, but a character itself that breathes from scene to scene, only to take a smoke break without worrying about death afterwards. Each of the topics I have mentioned are crucial in driving Eric's dramatic story, but none of this would be possible without mentioning James O'Barr, who birthed The Crow from a tragedy of his own. Without each of these things placed exactly as they were, it's possible the film wouldn't be held in such high regard as it is now, nearly 26 years after its release. To me, it's a perfect blend of sorrow, pain, revenge, and finally, peace for most involved, as the sins are put aside for one night. The devil's night. Eric Draven's night.